Hey everyone, my name is Shukla and I like to say namaste and welcome to my stream today. Today we're going to be talking about energy reset in 2020. My friends, you want to ask yourself, this year has been very difficult for many people, and it is my prayers for everyone, that may 2021 be the best year they have ever had. And if you like my stream, go here at the bottom, give me a like, give me a share, go ahead and comment, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. So with that in mind, I have a guest here. His name is Richard Morden, and Richard is here to help us out today understand how can we have a reset in 2020. And as a guest, Richard, welcome to our live today.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, my friend.
Delighted to be here.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure to have you here. Absolutely. Okay, so Richard, we're going to be talking about this reset 2020, right? So many people, those of you who are here today and have been struggling when it comes to when it comes to 2020, whether you are struggling with financially, maybe you're struggling with physically, maybe you've suffered a loss, and it is my prayers to your loved ones, okay, and to make sure that everyone is okay, all right. So with that in mind, I'm going to be talking a little bit, about how do you set up a reset, because 2020 is almost over. 2021 is around the corner. Now, the question is, how do we make sure that as we move into 2020 to 2021, we move our life forward? So that's what the topic for today is. It is, so how do you hit a reset? So what I found over time is when I started in the financial, when I got here from India, you know um one of the biggest things that we had to do is hit the reset button. My dad was we were a middle income family back home. My dad had worked all his life making 3,000 rupees a month, which is less than 50 bucks a month. And we were living in government quarters. So government, we were living in a condo back home. And by the time my aunt had applied for us in 1981, and we got our visas in 1989, so it takes a long time for us to officially get our visas and things like that. So when we finally got our visas in 1989, at the same time my dad had an offer from the government that to help us build a house. So they were going to actually charge us 80,000 rupees, which is not that much money in dollars, but at the end, for us, it was a lot of money, right? So it was like 1,500 rupees at $1,500 at max, right? So they were going to help us build a nice home and all that. And my dad had saved up around 80,000 rupees, right? So all his life, he had worked, so that he can really build this home. Now all of a sudden we were given the opportunity, because we got the visas to come here, and he had a choice to make. He can spend 80,000 rupees on buying a home, his dream home for us, or 80,000 rupees he could spend on for the plane tickets to come here, right? And the choice needed to be made. And when because the risk was, when we come here, obviously we will not have income. We will be coming here with $20 if we could not speak English. And that was a reset moment for us. The question was, what did we tell ourselves, right? When we go through traumatic experiences, and when we are going through this journey, okay, at the end, we all have this. When we are taking that journey, we are telling ourselves certain things. We are doing certain things subconsciously, that we don't realize. And so when we decided that, okay, coming here was more important, that home will be worth lot of money today. I'm talking about lots of money today, okay? Like if you talk about like 10 million rupees, like it's a lot of money that he gave up, right? Comparably to what um what we didn't know what we were about to walk into. So we had to hit the reset button. Then when we were coming here, and our plane was delayed, and there was a whole story behind that, and one day I will tell you about that. And then we landed here, okay? And that was a complete reset because we land here and we are like, okay, now what? What do we do now?
Yeah.
We can't speak English. I was at my aunts and uncles' homes, and we had to split as a family. That was another reset for us, right? Big trauma for us because we had to split as a family, and then we split, and then I was the first one to get a job, and I couldn't speak English, and my English was hi and bye, and that was the end of English for me. So that was another reset. Like, okay, now how do I communicate with all these people at a gas station? So when you see, in your life, there are so many resets. So my question is, whatever resets have you had to face? I would love some comments here at the bottom. We have a Jerry here. Jerry, welcome, welcome, welcome to my live stream today. And so me and Richard is an expert in helping people really put the reset in their life. If you're going through trauma, if you're going through some experiences that you want to really reset, and Richard is great at the EFT or tapping methodology to help you get rid of your trauma. So Richard, welcome to the stream today. Really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank
And
you, Ash.
you're so welcome, my friend. So today I'm going to ask you some questions. So let's start introducing you a little bit so we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, the echo. Richard Morden. Again, I'm an EFT practitioner, otherwise known as emotional freedom technique or tapping. Again, I discovered this synchronicity in my life just before I needed it. I happened to come across this just a few months before my wife had passed. So that was a great reset in my life with two teenage children, and I needed some way of what I call self-care. And I did something very importantly, unconsciously. I took care of myself first, my emotional wellness, so I could be present with my children. And now it's, because they were just finishing school, moving on to secondary school like that. So again, we always have these times of our life that we have to have great change. We're conditioned to always do the same thing over and over, always be familiar, and that's not what life is. That's not what life is about. It's about stepping into new areas of our life, new capacities of our life, new relationships in our life, and again, each time we have to have a reset to step in. And suddenly become married, we step into a family. That's a reset. All of a sudden, it's a whole new family we're trying to embrace, and they're trying to embrace us. And there's difference of opinion, different cultures sometimes like that. So it's again, change happens. It's inevitable. People come into our lives, people leave our lives. It's all part of the flow. It's how you look at that, what stories you're telling yourselves, and what story do you want to create. And I'm about
Absolutely.
creating new stories for people.
I love that idea. I love
Mm.
like what we were talking about earlier, Richard. We were talking about creating stories, right? So let's talk to people about what are the three top ways people can overcome they can really hit the reset button in 2020.
Well, one is I talk about who are you in the moment? Like, what's your story in the moment? Are you wrapped up in fear? Are you caught up in resistance, or are you looking for opportunity? So one is who are you? Two, what do you like to do?
Hmm.
And what do you like to do that's different and different than everybody else? Because we're so used to watching, and what's happened here, it's made us look at ourselves with a sense of we don't have all the sports, all the things that distract us. We're sitting and looking at self-reflection, and for most of us, that's a totally foreign territory. It's because there's people don't like silence. They want noise, they want music and things like that. So it's who are you, where do you want to go, and how do you want to get there? And I'm talking about your emotional, not your car. If you're looking at creating new relationships, what do you have to be doing differently to have those new relationships in your life, those new social interactions?
I like that. I like that. Thank you for that, Richard. So I guess the question I have for you is that, okay, so let's say that you're doing all this. The question is that what are three methods that we can implement? So let's talk about, we talked about earlier about tapping, right?
Mhm.
So tapping is method number one,
Yeah.
right? What else would be a method number two and three? You had talked about a couple of things, but go ahead.
No, my mind just went blank as we said that. But the tapping, in a sense, even the storytelling, change your story. You can and have
Okay.
someone help you
Change the
change
story.
your story, so you have a different energy vibration. And then, how do you want to create that vision? What does that feel like? Creating the feelings. When I created a new relationship, I had the feeling before the relationship came. Because thoughts thought creates a feeling creates an emotion. The emotion is the energy of the universe, and that's what our attraction point is. So I
Okay.
created a feeling that I knew something that I want to be.
Okay, so the three main things that you would suggest that we do is first learn how tapping works. So today we're going to talk about tapping.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we're going to talk about storytelling, and number three, we're going to talk about sending certain signals, brain signals,
Hmm.
so that you can actually change the way you're feeling
Yeah.
internally. So
Yeah.
let's start talking about tapping. What are some of the key things that you find in tapping that's so different than other methodologies, Richard, when it comes to your
Because it's a physical process. It's an actual physical method. It's when you're tapping using the meridian points. So you can, they talk about being mindful and meditation, but that takes practice. And when you're in a state of hypervigilance, it's a very hard place to move yourself. So when I'm tapping, I give people the opportunity to tap and rant, to just
Mm,
purge their thoughts, volume out what's going on in their life, because we go stored up with our emotions. So that's my biggest thing right there, is just tapping and ranting. What's going on? What do you want to? What are you upset at? And just using the methodology. And after a while, you get down to your truth. Because underneath all those stories, we're actually pretty good people, and we actually do care about ourselves. We care about everybody else. But
I
we
see.
have all these things come into our life of conflicts and stress. So I call it the Chevy Chase rant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So can you give me like an example of a rant?
Well, example, let's say we have a discussion with a family member and we're not happy about it. So we can go into in our privacy, just say, I'm really upset with this discussion. I'm really, and if you want to use other language, a colorful language, it's totally okay. Just say what's on your mind. I'm really ticked. I'm really ticked. You made me so mad, so angry. You've done this to me 1,000 times, because this is our story.
Hmm.
But all that has energy. And when we're tapping and we release the energy of that story, of that conflict, and I guarantee, like I've done this when I was sweating, I was so angry at work and things like that. 25 minutes later, I'm like, it's gone.
Hmm.
Because we carry the story into the next day, and then we tell four people, and we tell four more people about it, so we reinforce it. Because I've let it go, I don't have to tell anybody about it, because it's not my story.
I like
I
that.
was
Okay.
I was just angry in the moment of this interaction, or a ticket I received, perhaps from a parking ticket or something. I just you know, and we have relationships with our family, all different dynamics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to make sure that we have a healthy relationship with the family, and different dynamics that are going on. And I agree, like so tapping really helps you from the perspective of helping somebody is concerned. It
Mhm.
really helps you get into a different state of mind. Then would that be correct?
Mhm. Yeah,
So it changes the behavioral patterns. Does it help you change behavior behavioral patterns as
it's a
well?
it's a pattern interrupt. As I have these thoughts, because it's a physical process, I'm interrupting the process,
Hmm.
and I'm
Okay.
interrupting the energy, and I'm lowering the cortisol out of my body by, I think, 25% within half an hour.
I see. Okay.
So I now have more capacity to think.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I could just be angry. I can just be driving and tapping. My body's receiving. It's like emotional fitness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like an emotional fitness. I like that
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
So tapping is equivalent to emotional fitness.
yeah.
So one of the guys, those of you who are here joining me right now, go here at the bottom, give me some like, share, comment, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, because today we are talking about such an important topic as tapping, like how like resetting your energies for 2020. So that way you are ready for 2021. By the way, if you like this, give me 2 thumbs up. Would love that. Absolutely. Okay. So, or give me some emoji. I would love that. So, so with that in mind, Richard, let's talk about. So, one of the methods you can use. So far, what we have talked about is tapping.
Mhm.
Okay, and one of the benefits of tapping is that it's basically just like having an emotional fitness. So, if you're trying to build up emotional fitness and you constantly find yourself in a negative space, tapping is a great way to get rid of that negative emotion and get yourself in the positive zone. So once you do tapping, okay, step number two you want to do is tell yourself a story. So the question is, what type of story can you tell for resetting for 2020? So let's talk about that, Richard. When somebody's upset, when you're upset, what type of story would you tell yourself?
I want to, in my truth, I want to tell my story, how negative it is, and if it's really negative, because that's our truth in our moment. It's not our core truth. But if I'm really upset, it's my perception. I can say I'm really upset. Eventually, that's going to dissipate because, and I say I don't want to go into an affirmation story when I'm angry. I feel so good. I feel so good because it's too counter. It's too far away from where we are.
Oh, I see.
My truth is, in my body, I'm really ticked. I'm really, really ticked. And when I finally get enough of that out of my system, however long that takes, I can calm down on what I like to think. I can't tell you to have a happy thought if you have an angry thought.
Oh, I see. So you want to meet your emotions where they're at when you tell the
Yes.
story. So it's
Yes.
not about so all these things, all these talks about, hey, you want to think all the way in the future and you want to think positive and you have to be all this. No, you have to meet your emotions
Mm-hmm.
where they're at, and you have to kind of say, hi, how you doing? My name is blank, right?
Yep.
It's almost like that when you're telling your story. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, because we there's many people have put affirmations up and have said it a billion times, but they truly never believed it because they couldn't get out of their story to get there.
I like
So,
that.
so I'm saying if I'm story, and trust me, I was one of the most negative people out there. I didn't say it, but I grew up very angry and bitter person like many. And I had finally got to admit it. And, I'm angry. I'm upset. I feel like I'm the biggest loser on the planet. That was my story. But when I got rid of that, let that out, I thought I really had some compassion for myself and I got to create something new. But you can't get something new you can't put something new on an old foundation.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You can't. You really cannot. You have
Yes.
to. So you have to. What you're saying is you have to. When you tell yourself a story, and when you're doing tapping simultaneously,
Mhm.
you're really destroying the old foundation and building a brand new
Yeah.
foundation
Yeah.
together, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's in your body. The emotions are in your body. It's a record of your past. Joe Dispenza's work talks about this, right? So it's your body is a record of the past. So that may be your story. When you release it, you can create your new story.
I like that very much. And
Yeah.
so once you're done destroying this foundation, right?
Yeah.
How do you rebuild it? What are the steps somebody can take to rebuild this foundation?
Start looking for things that you want that you can feel that are close to you, whether imaging or pictures, thing like that, and just say, I really like that car. I like that house. I like the trees. I like nature. Simple things that are congruent, that are close to you. I like when I sit down and have a cup of tea with my friend Ash. He makes a wonderful cup of tea. Little things that make you feel, yeah, I can accept that. I can accept that. That's safe for me because it has to be safe for you emotionally.
I like that very much.
I like when I can go for a walk to the park, and that's okay. So now that's become that's your new norm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So basically, you have to set yourself a ground rules
Yes.
where you
Yeah.
can ground you can walk on before you start running on it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like so you really are like when you're talking about resetting for 2020, guys. Listen, you're here watching this right now. This is the only place you're gonna get this information.
Mm-hmm.
It is so critical. If you like it, go here at the bottom and give me a like, give me a subscribe. Make sure you make a comment and be sure to subscribe to my channel. And we're talking about resetting for 2020. Now, listen. If you're ready to hit the reset, give me I am ready, okay,
Mm-hmm.
for a reset. So if you give me that, I'll make sure I'll give you a shout out, at the end of this, here. So we have another person, Diane joining. Thank you so much for Diane for joining. Really appreciate you. So with that in mind, I want to make sure that as I'm talking to you, Richard, so as you're talking and listening to us, I want you to understand there is a specific way to get out of a ditch, right? Like how do you get out of a ditch? In this case, we are talking about emotional ditch, right? So when you talk about emotional ditch, what has happened to us is we have faced coronavirus. We were doing great until about March. Then we faced coronavirus.
Mhm.
Then we have faced financial tension. Then we have faced family dynamics,
Mhm.
right? Having being in the same house and stuff like that. And now, we're talking about how do you get out of it, so that 2021 can be the best year ever. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is, we talked about tapping. Tapping is your emotional fitness. Make sure you just look into and understand what tapping is first, right? Before you do anything else. Then, once you understand tapping, now it's time for us to tell a story and meet your your negative emotions where they are. Like, don't wait for them to become positive. Don't try to make them flip them over
Mhm.
into positive, but rather meet them where they are. Meaning, if go up to your negative emotion, says, hi,
Mhm.
my name is Ash. How you doing today? Right? You're really going to meet them, and when you're doing the tapping, as Richard explained, that you want to acknowledge that they exist, and slowly work your way out of it. And then, last but not least, get to the ground level. Make sure you destroy that foundation of negative emotions that you have, and you start building a brand new foundation so that you're ready for 2021 that's coming about. And as you build this ground, when you destroy your foundation and you build a new one that's based on positivity, good karma, great thought processes, alignment of your chakras, and
Mhm.
making sure that you're moving forward and building a forward moving momentum, so that when you go into 2020, and as you're hitting the reset in 2020, and going into 2021, you go straight to the top. So that is the way to do this. So now, Richard, with that in mind, I want to first of all thank you for being here today.
Mhm.
Really appreciate you. So when you talk about this negative emotions, right? What are some of the things that people should, some of the hints they should really look out for, for negative emotions that they're trapping themselves into?
Well, in a sense, from childhood and the best of parenting, we were never really allowed to honor our emotions. Parents tried to make us help us behave properly to look good. So sometimes, a child was crying and a parent would say, "Okay, I want you to stop that. I want you to put a smile on because your aunt's coming over. Be good." So right from the get-go, we're never allowed to honor. So now, as an adult, we don't even know what our emotions are supposed to be. So just getting to the core, and we've all had traumatic experiences. Just move on, carry on, and it doesn't work like that. You have to face them in a sense, in a very compassionate way, or find someone to help you. That so you're releasing that. I'm really sad. I'm really sad in that. So when we get to face them in a very compassionate and safe manner, and that may take help with someone else, and be careful of who you choose. That someone can hold you in safety. That you can start to honor those events, and now you start to build on a future. What would you like to feel? What would you like to be? And I think Ash and I talked about what story do you take to sleep with you. That's You're not going to. I'm a big proponent of what story they talk about. You watch the news, take your problems to bed, and I say that's totally wrong. I disagree with it 100%. You say before you go sleep, maybe you want to release your emotions of the day, and then what story do you want to take to sleep? Create your story that you want,
Yeah.
and because you're 5% conscious, 95% subconscious. That 95% is the driving force of your life.
Hmm.
Put this into your subconscious. Put good stories into your sleep. That
To
that's
make
your creation.
Wow. Wow. Why, my friends, listen, I got some bombshells today, because when you talk about subconscious mind and the amount of emotions and positivity that's happening in there, now with these new stories, I can't wait to try this out later today,
Mm.
because I think that is fantastic.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Richard. Really appreciate you. Okay. So guys, listen, you're joining us today. I want to thank you so much. I want to let you know that I love you a lot. Go here at the bottom, give me some likes, give me some comments, give me some shares, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. My friends, I want to thank you for joining us today. Today, we have talked about, how to have a reset for 2020. And as you're going into 2021, guys, take this, some of the things that we have talked about today, implement it in your life, and it will be my prayer to the universe to give you all the health, wealth, and happiness that you deserve. As you're implementing this strategies that we're talking about for Reset 2020. So with that in mind, thank you so much, and I'll see you Monday
Thank
at
you.
9 o'clock. Thank you, Richard.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.